Browns on the practice field again here on Wednesday, and the good news, Denzel Ward back on the practice field today. Now, he has not cleared the concussion protocol yet, but he's cleared the steps to allow him back on the practice field, and of course that's important, Mary Kay, because that sets up essentially him having a real chance when we get out here on Wednesday next week, when you kind of get into that real week one, for him to be on the field and practicing in full.
Yes, he's absolutely trending in the right direction, and that's great for Denzel, great for the Browns and fans, because as we know, this was his 5th concussion. Everybody's been worried about him. His teammates say, we trust him, we know he knows what he's doing, but still, when you have a 5th concussion, there's always some concern. So nice to see Denzel back out there, and it looks to me like he should be ready for CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys.
And Ashley, when you talk to defenders and talk to them about the importance of Denzel Ward, I think Dalvin Tomlinson today, you kind of heard it in his voice as well. They understand how important having Denzel and having that shutdown corner on that side really is to this team.
Yeah, and Denzel Ward is just so physical, which again, we talk about the way he plays kind of lends himself to these injuries, to these concussions sometimes, but I think that exact style is what you want when you're opening the season at home against the Cowboys, against a pass-catching core that is headlined by CeeDee Lamb.
Now, the Browns finished off their practice squad. Actually, I think they still have some spots left, so I guess they started putting their practice squad together today, and there were some familiar names. Michael Woods made it onto the practice squad. A bunch of special teamers, Tony Brown and Justin Hardy, who were just here, and of course Mike Ford, who comes back after he was with this team last year. So Mary Kay, no huge surprises necessarily, but they brought back guys they wanted to get back.
Yeah, they got back 3 receivers. James Prochet is one of their excellent returners, so he's back. They got Mike Woods back. He had such a nice camp. We saw him catch those 2 touchdown passes in Seattle, so he's back. Jalen Darden. And then, as you mentioned, those special teamers, especially Justin Hardy, who's a Cleveland guy. Kevin raved about him today. Nice to see him back, because I think he will get a chance to get back out there and contribute this year.
And Ashley, with the ability to elevate guys and bring guys up, based on the week, they can bring up a Hardy and a Tony Brown. They can bring up a Mike Ford. They have a lot of options. Bubba Ventrone's going to have a lot of options with guys that he wants on his coverage units.
Yeah, and you think about both of those position groups with the corners, the receivers. They're groups that have, unfortunately, I think so far, struggled with getting beat up a little bit throughout training camp, throughout the preseason. So I definitely think it's a really great option for them to add some depth there with some guys they trust who already know their systems.
Now, one guy who did not make it back, Siaki Ika, so that's a former third-round pick a year ago, Mary Kay, who obviously did not make the 53, and then the Browns chose not to bring him back onto their practice squad.
Yeah, and I had been mentioning that I wasn't sure he was going to be back here on the practice squad, only because there's a little bit of concern or question about whether or not he is actually a great scheme fit. It doesn't mean he won't show up at another time, depending on what happens down the road. They keep a short list of guys, but this was a situation where I think they felt it was best to just part ways with him and see if he can't catch on somewhere else.
Yeah, and Ashley, again, just with the way the practice squad rules are now, it's so important that you have guys who, you can call up on a Saturday or you can sign to the active roster. The Browns really do view that as an extension of their 53-man roster, so those guys have to be ready to play.
Yeah, and on that interior D-line, they kept 2 of the guys that we were talking about that I think we were like, we'd keep over Siaki if given the chance, right? And that was Juwan Briggs, their 7th round rookie, and Sam Kamara, who they've raved about all of camp, and they love his versatility for inside or outside. So when you're looking at the scheme, I think both those guys just have more of that ability to jump right in if needed than Siaki Ika had.
Okay, full coverage of the day here in Berea. It was busy. It's busy behind us right now. You can find it all at cleveland.com/Browns.